Hello everyone. So I've already done a video on how to do sandblasting on glass and stainless, and I'm aware that a lot of people are not set up for that kind of designing. So I thought I would do a quick tutorial on doing the etching using Armour Etch on glass. Okay, this is only going to work on glass. If you need to do stainless, it's not going to work. You will need a sandblaster or something of the kind, which you can find that video on my channel. So I'm going to show you what you're going to need, and then we'll get started. I'm going to go through the whole process on how I do it, little tricks that I've picked up along the way, recommendations, stuff like that. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here I'm doing this on my cooktop. Okay, I have just some parchment paper, which may or may not help. I do it for my own peace of mind. Painter's tape, pair of gloves, right? Safety first. A paintbrush. I use this one, just like a medium to small bristle, nothing special. You'll need your Armour Etch and the glass that you're gonna be working with, as well as your design. Okay, so I have my design here. Typically when I do this, when I'm cutting out the design, I'll leave, I don't know if you can see, this is just a letter A. All right, so I'll leave like from where the design ends, the extra spacing all around it, because you're gonna want that buffer when you're doing this. Your transfer tape, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's get started. So this is the glass I'm gonna use, and I'm probably gonna just put the A right here, kind of like in the middle of that, right? So I'm going to weed out, and this might be a little bit tricky for you at first because it's kind of like going against your instincts of how to weed, right? But this, you want to remove the part that you actually want to keep on your design, right? So I'm gonna be putting the letter A on there. So I removed the part that you would typically keep is what's gone. So now we have a border to work with. All right. And if this was just like a solid piece, so maybe like a heart or something, then you wouldn't need transfer tape, but I have these little pieces here and I don't want it to kind of shift. So I'm going to use transfer tape to apply it. Right? So just gonna use one of my kitchen towels here to help hold this in place. So you're gonna position it the way you want it on the cup, right? So normally I'll like fold this down from where the letter or design starts so I can get a clear eye of the top point and the bottom. Right, so I want it about there. Okay, and try not to let the bottom drop until you're ready to start pressing on it. So when you're doing this, in glasses, obviously it's not a perfect shape. So you want to kind of just get it as best as you can along the letter or along your design. The rest of it can be all smushed and bubbly and creases, it really doesn't matter. You just want to focus on your outline. All right, so just kind of like pull on it, right? It doesn't matter if it stretches, you can just pull on the vinyl to help it situate itself. Once you have that on there, you kind of just smush the rest of it down. It doesn't matter. Right? Now let's take the transfer tape off. So now, like I said, you can just like push down on it. If you see any areas along your design that are lifted, you want to go around and make sure that you get it pressed down properly. If you leave any little holes along that edge, the Armour Etch will find a way in. All right, so you don't want to let that happen. These creases, you can kind of just like push down on them. If you're having a hard time doing this, another thing that I suggest is using a heat gun. The heat gun will cause the vinyl to tighten, and then it'll help it so that you can kind of remove any little creases that you have up by your edge that you still have to get rid of. All right, so that, for what we're doing, that's sufficient, right? It's gonna look so pretty. The painter's tape, if you do your design that you don't have much area around here, like let's say you're using just like a scrap piece that you have, I do that all the time, you don't have much here, like let's say your vinyl stops right here, then you will need to tape up your cup. Okay, I'm gonna do it for purposes of showing you how, even though this one I don't need to, because I left a good bumper around my design. But if you didn't have it, then you would need to tape it up, okay? And when you're taping, let's say you're doing multiple cups one day, don't reuse the tape. Like, don't do one cup, take it off, and then use it again on the next cup, just because that tape will start to wear out, okay? So while you keep doing it, the tape is wearing out, the Armour Etch will start to seep through the tape and will create a line of where it should have been protecting, but it's already too weak to do that, okay? All right, so that's what your design would otherwise look like it's in a little blue frame, okay? So next, the Armour Etch. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. Don't need any of that now. All right, so this is just a little plain white cream, right? What I typically do is I will like shake it upside down. Okay, so now you see all of that cream that's on the cap. That's what I'll use. All right, I might dig like a little more out of here with my paintbrush, but I just go dipping using from the cap so I don't waste it pouring it into something else in the process. All right, so I'm gonna put my gloves on, safety first. This is a cream that, I mean, in case you're not fully aware how this process works, this cream is essentially removing a layer of the glass. Okay, so if you think about that, in the short time that this cream is on the glass, it is eating away at a layer of it. So you want to protect your skin, your eyes, don't touch your face. A lot of people will actually wear a mask doing this as well. I don't. Okay, so, and this, you know, you don't have to be, this doesn't take a lot of time. You could just be sitting down on the sofa watching TV and doing this process, right? So I go at it at different angles, and I don't let the cream sit on its own for too long, because that can sometimes make it look blotchy versus having a clean, even etching. All right, so I'm just gonna start right here. You can start off anywhere. And I start going just, you know, from one, go angle at an angle. I'm gonna show you guys now, but, and look, it's been like a split second, and you can already see that color coming off, right? So I went at an angle, bottom to top right. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the opposite. Okay, you just wanna make sure that you really cover that well. And really all you're doing is just pushing the Armour Etch around. Right. So we went that way, we went that way. Now I'm gonna go side to side. Okay, I started out going left to right. And now I'm gonna go right to left. The reason I do it this way is, as I mentioned before, it keeps it from getting blotchy by leaving the like uneven cream just standing on the glass. And then also it helps to get clean lines, right? Because you're pushing it up against the vinyl. Okay. So you're gonna get a crisp line of where it's like pressing on all of those lines, all of those different angles. If you only go in one direction, then the opposite direction might be lacking later. All right, so now I'm gonna go bottom to top. All right, and now top to bottom. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see, there's like absolutely no color left on there. All right, and now I'll just kind of like go around it just for a minute or two, just to keep it moving like in all random directions, right? Just to give it a nice bright color. So this one, even though I'm doing it on a rainbow cup, even if it was just a plain glass, the longer you do this, the longer you have it on the cup, the clearer the design will be. Like some glasses, like you see them and they kind of just get lost. The design gets lost in the glass. It just means that they needed to leave it on a little bit longer. Okay, and then now I'm just gonna kind of wipe some of this off. Get a paper towel. Be careful with your surroundings as well. Like again, I'm doing this on my cooktop, but I have something covering it, because if this gets on any other surface, it very well could damage it. So I'm just kind of trying to wipe this off a little bit. You'll notice when you're doing this that the cream starts to get kind of chunky. And that's just because that's the little fragments of glass that are coming off of your cup. All right, so I'm just gonna clean that up a bit and then let it sit for a minute or so. All right. So I'm gonna let this sit for a moment. Let me see, so just to give you guys an idea, like on a plain glass, that's the wrong thing. This is what it would look like, right? Again, the longer you leave it on there, the more prominent this will be. Though anytime you're using just a basic glass, it is a little bit difficult to see it through a lens, through a camera or anything like that. So that's why usually the pictures that you see of etched cups aren't that great. I know I mentioned before the sandblasting on metal. So if you wanted to do sandblasting on metal like this is, you would need to use like a sandblaster or something. Again, this cream won't work on metals this way. All right, we can see how it does the same thing. Sandblasting will remove a layer of the top coat, right? So you can see it through the rose golds of the tumbler. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next step, which is rinsing this off. So when you go to rinse it, I do not take my tape off until the very end, okay? So let's move over to the sink to do that. Okay, so what you're gonna do is, I like to use warm water. So I'll turn my water on and let it get hot. Not even warm, hot water really. So we're just gonna give this a moment to heat up. Okay, so one thing I've seen a lot of people do is they will just face up stick this under the water And what that's going to do is cause the cream to run down the sides of the cup, which can then create a line along the rest of the cup. It can damage the rest of it. So when I do this, I put it so that the design is face down, directly down, so when the cream runs, it's just going straight into the water. It does not touch the rest of the cup, okay? So the design down, and then just put it down there and start rinsing it, right? So I just gently wipe until I think all the cream is gone. Right? Okay. So nothing left on there. So now I'll go ahead and take off my tape and the stencil. And usually the stencil comes off really easily wet, so this is the perfect time to do it. If you're struggling to get your stencil off, just put it under some hot water and it'll come right off. You should be using temporary vinyl, okay, nothing permanent. Though permanent vinyl will likely still come off, it's not necessary. Just rinse it again. See? I'm gonna get this dried off and then give you a better look at it. All right, so here is our finished product. All right. So you can clearly see the A on there, and it looks fantastic on this kind of rainbow cup. All right, so we have like the clean lines. All right. So that's it, you're done. Please like, follow, subscribe, drop a line below if you have any questions, need any pointers, need any help at all, just let me know. Happy crafting, everyone.